The Association of Black Securities Investment Professionals annual conference.
I know some Chinese people who are willing to do this, no problem. But besides, I know that the IDC wants to build an iron ore smelter, which is about an hour away from our mine. So that really should be a problem. Okay, go to the IDC. IDC says, what iron ore smelter are you talking about? I say, as contained in this press statement of yours. They forgot about it. They issued a press statement. They forgot that they committed themselves to building an iron ore smelter. Forgot. How you go? They forgot. So what do I tell Stephen Kosef now? That IDC forgot. So IDC forgot, so that's not happening. Meanwhile, time doesn't wait. At that point, the iron ore prices were higher. And then they began coming down because demand was waning. So I go to Stephen, my friend, that project, that is going to make me a billionaire. What do you think about it? Shall we proceed with it? He says, I must go back to the credit committee. So I said, what kind of a chief executive are you? So he said, no, the credit committee. So he goes to the credit committee, said, presenting this case again. Credit committee this time doesn't give him the same explanation as before. You remember before it was off-take agreement? This time around, they said, no, we can't proceed because the iron ore prices are down. That's the reality of the financial sector. You can talk as much English as you want. The reality of the situation is that I packed the banks there. Let me come to the PIC. So, PIC, as you know, one of the largest pension fund administrators in the country. They've got a number of pockets of funds which can be used for various investments and loans. So I entered into an agreement with a property company, as a result of which we were going to own about 20% of the company. It's quite a large property company. But I didn't have the cash. So go to the PIC. I sent my little brother to the PIC because I didn't want to go there in case they thought that I was abusing power. So I didn't go there. I sent my little brother there. So he goes there and negotiates with the PIC. Eventually, they give him a letter. A PIC is unable to advance any support for your project because the property company that you want to invest in is heavily concentrated in the Four Ways area. And therefore, we can't. It's too risky. Okay, the little brother leaves. When he leaves the office, you know what they do? They go and buy shares for themselves on the stock exchange. The same people who said that this is a high-risk concentration. Okay, so you want to discuss the role of the financial services sector in the economy. So you don't have to theorize about these things. Kunzima. Staff, as a black person, staff out there. So the big banks, the four and the Investec, the fifth and so on, they haven't crossed the Rubicon. They haven't crossed into Israel. They're still in Egypt. They haven't crossed. And until they cross, whether it's a black executive or not, within the existing companies, they haven't crossed the Rubicon. The black ones go there, suddenly they want to be acceptable to the status quo instead of being change agents. That's a problem you have. So that's the problem you have. I'm sure in that credit committee of Stephen Kosef, there were some blacks there. And the black said, but we can't extend credit to another black who is going to get rich. They're blacks. Dr. Motlana used to talk about the pull-down syndrome. The blacks don't support the blacks. Even when the chief, I'm not saying anything about Sim, by the way, Shawala. He's my banker. So I must be careful in case he increases my interest rates. So I think that my observation is that if we are really serious about access to capital to drive the economy, we must think in particular about how to support the small and medium enterprises. Although in Germany you have Mercedes-Benz and BMW and other big Siemens and others, really the bulk of the German economy is driven by what is called the hidden champions, who are the small and medium enterprises. It is true that small and medium enterprises do depend to some extent on contracts with the larger companies. But actually it's the dynamism of the small and medium enterprises that drive things. So we should focus on that. But where are they going to get money? I'm one of those who is going to admit that we made one big mistake early in the 1990s when we basically engineered the demise of this Small Business Development Corporation, SBDC. That was a huge mistake. So Trevor Manyo and myself will accept that responsibility. It was a big mistake. Because that was a concentrated vehicle to support small and medium enterprises. Maybe it's about time we went on our knees, accepted our mistake, and re-engineered the SBDC. Secondly, I think that somebody on Twitter said to me, you said one of the most urgent tasks of the National Democratic Revolution is the establishment of a state bank. I'm still of that view. I haven't changed my mind at all on that view. But the heist at VBS has made me to start thinking very carefully about whether we will not be creating another source of the heist. And I began reflecting on the experience of Itala Bank, which used to be called the KwaZulu Finance Corporation, KFC. And I began reflecting on that. And I recall one day the Bank Supervision Department had come to me to say that, Governor, there's a problem with this Itala thing. So I said, what's the problem? They said there's a huge bad debt book there. I said, why? They said, if you go through that bad debt book, all you see are names of politicians. So any politician in KwaZulu-Natal, black ones, who has a farm, you must know that they got it from there. There's a black debt. And at the time the Bank Supervision Department came to me to tell me about it, was because there was a draft bill before the KwaZulu-Natal legislature to condone the debts. So these fellows wanted to incur these huge debts, and they want to pass legislation to condone the debt. So they get these farms for free. Those were those from the KwaZulu administration, Bantustan, and the new ones. So you must check where's the farm there. And you ask them, where did they get the money to purchase that farm? And have they repaid the loan? Most of them, some of them are my close friends, they haven't. And I keep reminding them at the NEC, have you repaid the loan? So based on these experiences, my enthusiasm for the state bank is a little subdued. because of these heists. I like the way Advocate Mtao put it. It's a heist. And he says there was a heist, a gang that drilled a tunnel in Krugersdorp into Standard Bank, and they got out with 400,000 rands. Huge amount of effort. Huge effort. They got 400,000 rand. They went away. They were never caught. And then there was a group of thugs for no effort who stole 2 billion rand at VBS. And he says, these ones must be caught, arrested, and sentenced. So as I was looking into this heist in Krugersdorp, I found out actually that the 400,000 was not the target. That was just the bonus that they got there. These criminals had worked it out that rich people who had bought or gotten diamond and other jewelry illegally were storing it in the vaults at the bank in Krugersdorp, worth millions, not 400,000. So these criminals were not after the 400,000. They were after the jewelry, and they cleaned it out. Now, unfortunately for the owners of the jewelry, they could not report this to the police because this was ill-gotten gains. So the criminals were happy in the end. So what am I saying? In order to get going with the economy financially, we need to sort out the financing. And I think the institutional investors are key. I think we need to rethink the re-engineering of the Small Business Development Corporation. I think that the existing established banks need to cross the Rubicon in order to be with us. But we face a structurally different economy to that which we faced in the 90s. Mining and agriculture and quarrying, as you know, contribute something like about 11% GDP. The days of the gold mines are gone. Even though you call your province Gauteng, there's no Gauteng here. It's finished. It's gone. If you fly on the southwestern side of Joburg, where the gold mines used to be, you just see disused shafts all over the place. It's gone. Heavy manufacturing, light and heavy manufacturing was something like 18% to GDP, and the tertiary sector over 60% of GDP. So when we talk about oiling the economy, which economy are we oiling? And there's also a major shift demographically, where about 62% of South Africa's population now resides in urban or peri-urban areas. So what policy response should that generate? You can think in the same way as you used to think in the 40s and 50s when they drafted the Freedom Charter. It's different. It's a totally different society in order to respond to that. So it means also our education sector needs to respond to the fact that we are now having to absorb people into the tertiary sector of the economy, not mining and agriculture. And yet we need to eat. So some people have to work in mining and agriculture and so on. So I leave it with the thought with you that you should think more about where is the growth in the economy going to come from. It's no point just talking about economic growth. Where is it going to come from? Where is it going to come from? Is it just going to be Vilakazi Street, consumption? Where is this growth going to come from? Well, it might come from our renewed commitment to mining efficiently whatever remains of our mining assets. It will come from us having a renewed effort into agricultural production. So there's no point giving the president or ABSIP a farm and he just turns it into a weekend special thing. Doesn't farm, just for partying at the weekend. That doesn't contribute to economic growth. A sad story about one of the first land claims which were successful after 1994 was the area in Zanina around the coach house, 27 farms. We gave them to our people, Halitwalo. We gave them. One of the farms there used to produce the world's well-known pawpaws. Hobson's Choice, it was called. They gave it to our people. So a huge fanfare. Toko Didiza went there, they slaughtered a head of cattle, big thing. Government is returning land to our people, my way, Africa, Amanda wait. 27 farms, productive farms. Within 2 years, those farms were derelict. No single fruit had gone to the market. The farms were becoming a huge forest. Goats wandering around, fences had been torn, farmhouses had been vandalized. So, and one day I got so upset, I went for a walk and I saw a group of men sitting under a tree. So I went to them and I greeted them. So they recognized me. So, yes, Minister Tito Mboweni, fine. So I said, what's happening here with the farming? They said, no, what do you mean? I said, there's no farming going on here. I said, no, Mahua Zamaile. Mahua Zamaile. The white people have left. So there's no farming. So I said, no, hang on. But we gave you this land so you can continue farming. They said, no. Tito Mboweni, you're misunderstanding this thing. Mahua Zamaile. The white people have left. They've left with the jobs as well. I was so depressed that we took a correct policy position. The result is different. But they were smoking something. They were smoking. And it is, I could smell this thing. So I said to them, what are you smoking? He said, Tito Mboweni, I mean, no. I said, what do I think you're smoking? No. So I said, you're smoking ganja, right? And they laugh uncontrollably after that. So I said, where do you get this thing? They say, you see, if you look there. And I looked, there's lots of green of it. That's what they're planting there. Maybe the best thing is to legalize this thing. That's the best way to go about it. At least we can get some tax money out of it. Okay. Any questions? Thank you very much. Any questions?